Hello there, my name is Joshua Fox, and today we are going to be going over how to sell into retail. So we're going to be talking a little bit about all the Aruba solutions that work really well in the retail environment, what retail is most focused on and some of their own pain points and what they're trying to achieve. And the overall goal is to sort of help you be able to have those conversations and whenever you're trying to sell into retail. So let's go ahead and get started. So I think first is kind of important to understand what exactly is retail. So retail is the process of selling consumer goods or services to customers through multiple channels of distribution to earn a profit. Now this usually happens to be a store of some sort. There could be a variety of different stores, anything as small as a gift shop, something of that nature, all the way up to full department stores. But the services part is also important because that's something that a lot of people consume. So restaurants are actually a part of the retail environment. Even things that might not seem like they would be retail. Think of something like a travel agency where you would physically go in and they would help you book something, right? They're selling a service. So anytime when somebody's selling to a service or good to consumers, this is really the type of vertical that we're going to be looking at. So what's most important if you're in this vertical? Well, it's going to be driving shopper loyalty in some way, shape, or form. And I think it's really important to understand that the way that you drive shopper loyalty actually even changes within the retail environment. So I just want to take a couple of moments here and go over some of what different types of retail might actually find the most important. So in a casual dining environment, it's most about getting people in and getting them out, right? Making the purchase is painless as possible. And anybody that's ever dined out and you get your check, the time it takes to get that check to pay up or to split where that check is or to get your food boxed up and so on, would understand that that's the part of the dining experience that is the least liked, right? So tackling that might be something that you would do in casual dining. In quick serve, say your fast food, it's all about quickly capturing the order, which is why you see a lot of fast food chains now have an app where you can purchase before you even get there, right? Because they want to quickly capture that order as fast as possible. Now, grocers, they're trying to make the life of shoppers easier in any way, shape, or form that they can, whether that's actually making the purchase, finding what you're looking for, or even just getting help from an associate. Now, discount stores are going to have really similar challenges to grocers, and department stores are really focusing on in-store tech projects. Now, you guys have probably all seen this kind of thing. The bigger the store, the more they're doing to engage with you, right? Big stores like Walmart and Home Depot and Lowe's and so on have a lot more that they can do to engage than, say, that small type of gift shop or so on, right? So they're really trying to push that as much as possible. And that kind of comes into your national chains, right? They're really trying to expand the shopping experience and really trying to tap into a shopper's lifestyle as much as they can. All right, so retailers really want to drive loyalty, and there's quite a few different strategies to do that. We might want to have some kind of single digital relationship that starts before a person even gets to the store, right? Now that might be through some kind of application, it might be through some kind of email program. It might even have been, back in the day that they started with some kind of, paper or mail that went to people, but maybe they're getting coupons to you digitally or so on. But there's a lot of different ways to start that relationship. And the important takeaway there is starting the relationship with your shoppers before they ever even enter your store. Now, the next thing is maybe keeping associates able to communicate with each other in the best way possible. And that's important because anytime when somebody might be interacting in retail, if the communication isn't there between associates, well, that can impact the shopping experience, right? If you've ever been abandoned in a store or you've asked, your waiter for something or somebody to relay information to your waiter in something like a dining experience, you can see that, that feeling of abandonment really affects your experience, right? So definitely having some kind of communication is going to be important in the retail world. Smart inventory management can be extremely important, and that's more than just what you have on hand, right? It's understanding what you're consuming, how often you're consuming it, and keeping up to date with everything that you have so that you're not losing a sale, right? And then lastly, a smart store enabled by IoT. Now, IoT is what we're using to basically achieve a lot of digital transformations in a lot of different places. So this IoT portion, you should definitely keep in mind is that it's going to be a very flexible type of solution. IoT is going to mean different things to different people, and how you use that to achieve a goal is going to change from place to place. So with all of these things in mind, it is important to try to understand exactly, what is the end goal of the retail that you're talking to? What would they like to capture in order to increase their own business, and how are they keeping those relationships alive? How are they keeping their communications between associates and how are they making sure that information isn't lost? How are they doing their inventory, and how are they using every connected device to be able to push their sales to the limit? Now, I do actually want to take a moment here. This is a good time. I wanted to read out a couple of statistics to you guys that can really, I think, lead a little bit of clarity to the whole retail situation here. Now, 73% of consumers are using multiple channels to shop, right? So again, it's important to have that relationship wherever you can because they're using those multiple channels. 87% of consumers begin their shopping journey with digital, which was a huge jump, 71% from 2017, right? So most customers are now utilizing technology in some way, shape, or form to be shopping around. Now, more than 70% of millennials and Gen Z belong to some kind of loyalty program. So that's a lot more when you compare that to, say, baby boomers, which were only about 20%. Again, having that kind of relationship with your customer is really important, as you can see. Now, 82% of consumers are going to consult their phone while they're in a store, and 1 in 10 of those people are going to end up buying something different than they had planned. 53% of customers have 53% of customers will leave a mobile site if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. So definitely having Wi-Fi or some kind of connection method that is able to work is going to be important. Otherwise, you might be losing some customers. Now, 88% of retailers say a personalization has improved their marketing effectiveness. So basically, if you're in retail and you're somehow engaging with your customers, your marketing absolutely is going to get a lot better. So you can see with just some of those quick statistics there, why these top of mind issues are really top of mind. Now, I think it's also important to notice here that retail is really selling to us, right? We're the consumers, and everybody that might be listening to this, in one way, shape, or form, you're a consumer. And so you have a unique perspective because the problems that they're trying to solve for are your problems. They're really trying to cater to you. So imagine a store where, the journey was easy for you. You walked into the store, you got what you needed, and you were out. And maybe some of the ways they did that is the associates were empowered. They knew exactly how to lead you to get what you wanted and get you out. You didn't feel any shopper abandonment. There was efficiencies maybe by working with them before you even got there. You've been able to take advantage of some coupons or so on, so you feel like you've got a great deal. And they're able to even do that maybe with some business analytics, right? So they have a good time basically telling you, hey, you might want this. And anybody that's experienced this where you've been doing searches for something, maybe a Google search or something like that, and then all of a sudden you get a coupon for something to go purchase what you were looking for, that's where that business analytics really comes in, right? So that's really everything that they're trying to do. Just make it as easy as possible to facilitate that sale to you and get you in and out and make everything as easy as possible for you, right? And you have that perspective to understand that that's what they're trying to do. So as we're selling into retail, understand that, right? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to enable and empower the customer as much as possible. And if you can use that perspective when they're telling you about their pain points and the things that they're trying to solve for, then it'll help you a lot when it comes to making recommendations about the different products that we have that can really help them to achieve that end goal. Now, there's really two main strategies that we want to abide by when we're building that customer loyalty. One is the shopping experience, and the other is line of business. First, we're going to really go over this shopping experience, right? Now, there's a lot of different ways that we can make the shopping experience a stronger experience. For customers, there's a lot of cool things they can do. Things like click and collect shopping. This is basically where you can say, I want to purchase X, Y, and Z. You make that purchase, and then you show up to the location, and you just pick it up, and you go, right? You have a better shopping experience in that situation. In-aisle checkout is another good thing that we can do. In-aisle checkout is pretty similar to or I should say it's a continuation of what happened when we started having the self-checkout. This was great. I remember when it first came along, I could go to the self-checkout and I could get my purchases figured out, and I was in and out of the store much faster. My time's important to me, so I really enjoyed that. But now they have a lot of stores, or a lot of places are putting in some kind of way to check out while you're in the aisle, so that you make your purchase right there and you don't even have to stand in a line. Mobile ordering is another one. Pretty close to that click and collect shopping. This is more towards, say, your dining experience, where I can say make an order and just go pick up that order that I had purchased. So, think of like a Taco Bell or something like that. You can use their app and make that purchase to show up to the location and pick it up, and you're in and out as fast as possible. Now, that doesn't have to be only like Taco Bell. A lot of different restaurants and so on could definitely make use of that. Having Wi-Fi access with seamless roaming is extremely important. As I mentioned earlier, 53% of people out there would leave a website if it took longer than 3 seconds to load. So definitely extremely important to have some kind of roaming and having your Wi-Fi actually work. Otherwise, that you're losing shoppers, right? Lastly, a lot of different apps we have out there enabling home-to-store shopping, in-store help, and a lot of personalized offers. Applications seem to be the way of the future. A lot of retail, and not just retail, but a lot of people out there using that to engage with their customers. So a lot of the strategies that we have are really going to, in one way, shape, or form, jump right back to that application. Now, in continuing making the shopping experience as best as possible, associates need the tools and the information. They need tools to be able to reduce that shopper abandonment, right? Don't know if you've ever been in a department store or something of that nature, but if you ever asked somebody, hey, where can I find this? And they're saying, oh, that's not me. Let me go find somebody that can help you. And they walk away. Well, how long am I supposed to wait for that person to come back to me? How do I know that they didn't get a new assignment or something like that from their boss, and they weren't able to get the assistance over to me? At some point, I'm going to be walking away, and that could be a potential loss in sale, right? So associates need the tools to be able to communicate with one another in order to reduce shopper abandonment as much as possible. So yeah, that really covers a lot of what we're looking at here. And just a big thing, reliable connectivity is a must-have throughout all of this. Wi-Fi is no longer a want; it's kind of a need. So you really need to make sure your connectivity is as reliable as possible. Now, aside of the shopping experience, there's also the line of business. We need to have an intelligent inventory, know what we have on hand and what we don't have on hand, right? Electronic shelf tags are becoming a bigger thing, and those are, an IoT type of deployment where you have, instead of stickers where somebody's walking around and manually updating prices and so on, you have these little smart tags out, and they would tell you a price, and that could be live updated, right, from a server somewhere. So that's another really good thing that we could do in the line of business. Knowing your customers' preferences, visits, conversion rates is very important as well. As you might imagine, knowing that John Doe always makes X purchase, now we know what we might want to upsell him for. Or if we know that he's not visiting as much, why? What is it about our store or our shopping experience? Why did we lose his business? How do we win that business back? And there's a lot of analytics that we can pick up to make those decisions. Analytics on things like dwell time, the inventory and traffic flows. Traffic flows is another really important one. Think about, a store where maybe they see that X aisle has a lot of traffic, a lot of people are walking down this aisle, right? Well, I might charge more for that aisle space or for whatever is in there than I used to, or I might charge a premium for, say, the Kellogg's cereal on the top shelf, and just having the analytics to show the reasoning behind that can also be pretty important. But the real takeaway here is the network should be able to provide more than connectivity. Don't lose a sale because you didn't have those line of business intelligences. So let's get into some of the products, some of the things we have that can really assist us. And one is our access points. IoT is a platform here. Access points are great, not just for the Wi-Fi, but they're also being able to be used a lot more in our IoT environments. Things like Bluetooth and Zigbee make this a platform that we can connect everything together. Think back to those smart tags where we're live updating a price on an item. Well, what if those are using, say, Zigbee, and we have our access points out, and we're able to become part of that Zigbee mesh network, and it just having that connectivity platform, right? Even in our older access points, not just the 500 series that have the Zigbee radio just kind of embedded into it, now we have a dongle where we can actually add via USB to some of our older 300 series type access points, right? So definitely very important to be able to utilize the access points for more than just Wi-Fi to engage with our customers, but using it as a platform to have the whole store connected really is going to assist us in our ability to provide that digital transformation. So Aruba User Experience Insight, this is what we have for our ability to see what a client might be experiencing or the user might be experiencing when they connect in. I have a video on this on YouTube already, but these are these purpose-built Linux machines that just sit up and connect as if they were a client. You can run all kinds of tests with these guys. But the true power of this in the retail environment is if I roll something out, an engagement with my customers or so on, or I make anything where I know that this is how I'm going to engage with these guys, or maybe I'm making it on a line of business decision as well. Maybe it goes back to, say, we're connecting to those IoT devices or whatever it might be. This is what's going to tell you if that device has connected in the way that it should have, and it's going to give you the ability to troubleshoot and see why it didn't. Is it getting the performance that it wants, right? I mentioned earlier that, again, that coming back to that 53% of people leave if it doesn't, load up in 3 seconds. Well, I might be able to jump over to that website or that application or whatever it is that you're using and see if I'm inside of that threshold long before those users are coming into the environment. And as I make changes to my network and my different deployments out there and able to, in order to actually better serve my customers, I want this in place so I can see if those changes are doing what they said, right? If you're going to build an engagement platform, why not make sure that it works as intended? That's going to be the big use case here for these Aruba User Experience Insight products. No network is usable without some kind of management, right? Well, Aruba AirWave is going to provide you a on-prem management solution for the entire environment. Now, AirWave can be tied in with a lot of different products. It doesn't even have to be all Aruba products. We can manage all different types of network infrastructure. We're going to be able to get information from this from our visual RF. We're going to be able to see things like the heat map, what the coverage is like. We would be able to see even things like locations of wireless devices in our environment to a degree with AirWave. So it's a really good deployment or a way to gain information about the network so that you can make smarter decisions with how you're going to be engaging with customers. Now, we can also tie this in with our Aruba Locations and Analytics engine. I believe I have a slide for that a little bit later, but basically being able to capture information about users and use that information in actionable ways. Now, Aruba Central is going to be another product that we have. Now, this is an interesting one. It gives you the cloud management. Again, it's going to do things like manage our switches, gateways, access points, and so on. But we're also going to get some really cool value-added services here. Guest Wi-Fi is a big one. You're going to want to be able to get your brand out there, right? You want to market yourself as people are coming into your retail environment. Well, this is how you do that. When you walk into a Starbucks or a McDonald's and you get that captive portal and it comes down and you see that beautiful cup of Starbucks coffee and it's, it got the sweat dripping down and you really want that coffee now that you've logged into the guest Wi-Fi, right? And now the Starbucks brand is in your mind. It's burned into your mind. And that's what we're doing with that. It's our way of engaging with customers, bringing them into our environment, capturing information, as well as displaying our brand and marketing who we are. Besides that, we have our presence analytics. Now, this is going to be really important, I believe, in the retail environment, basically giving you the dwell times. Did somebody come into my environment? Did they stay in my environment? Did they connect with me? Did they just walk by? This is really going to be incredibly useful information for when you start making actionable decisions about your environment. I might say, hey, I put this advertisement in my window. I wanted to bring more people in. Beforehand, I was getting 15 people per hour were actually stopping and walking in, and about 100 people per hour were walking by. I want to increase that number. I'm going to run this marketing campaign. You can then again look at your presence analytics. Did they actually come in? Did they walk into my store? Did they engage with us? Did they make any purchases? What did they do, right? So this is going to give you that analytics about users coming in and how they're using your environment so that you can make those types of actionable decisions. Now, lastly, the connectivity health there, that's just really going to help you understand proactively what's wrong with the network. Works really well when you're using it in conjunction with those user experience insight sensors, because now you can see what's on your network side and what's on your user side, which gives you a holistic view of what's in your network so that you're providing the best experience possible. All right, so we also want to simplify operations here, right? The big thing is zero-touch provisioning is a big part, and this is something that both AirWave and our Aruba Central products are really going to excel at. But this is, you might run into a retail situation where there's multiple sites, multiple places, and maybe we don't have an IT expert at every site. Think back to that Starbucks kind of example, right? Do they have an on-staff tech at every site? Maybe not, right? So those access points can be shipped right to that place, so the switches can be shipped right to that place. They can connect them in, they phone home to where they want to get their configurations, and they're up and running without actually having to have that person on site. Getting rapid deployment up and running is really a real powerful piece of the zero-touch provisioning here. So definitely using Aruba Central and AirWave is going to give you that simplified operations feel. All right, so this is, I talked about the Aruba Analytics, location and analytics engine a little bit when we were talking about AirWave. This ends up working with something like AirWave. AirWave can collect the information, throws it into the analytics engine, and then we can work with a multitude of different third-party types of analytics partners to be able to pick up the information that you need. And we can do things like dwell times, inside versus outside population. We can look at things like the conversion rates or repeat frequencies of customers. There's a lot of different analytics engines out there, or a lot of different analytics, third-party analytics that are doing different things. This is, a specific thing that we're looking at for your customers. Crunch the numbers, and we could tell you, a specific piece of information about it. And AIL is going to be able to collect that information, store it, and get it over to our, our third-party analytics engines that we might be using. So definitely something that would be great, especially if you're needing to get that additional visibility so that you can make the decisions that are important to you in your environment. Now, ClearPass is definitely going to be important. I like to bring this up. It's really good in any environment, but it's giving you the visibility, control, the response and enforcement that you would need for that environment. Now, think of, back in the day, I like to use this as an example, but think about that old HVAC system in Target when that got hacked and it caused a lot of problems, right? Hackers are going to be big in any retail environment. There's a lot of money flowing through retail, so they're definitely going to try to get their hooks in there. Having the visibility of what's happening in your network is important. Being able to control what devices can access what is important, and then being able to respond to that and to segregate it and stop that from being a threat to you longer is also going to be very important. So I do see ClearPass being very, very nice to have in any type of situation where we've started to grow a little bit larger. I think in the latter half of the mid-market up to the enterprise retails, this is really going to be a nice product for them. It's going to help secure their environment and make sure that they are less likely to be hacked, right? Now, a part of ClearPass could be ClearPass Device Insight. As we've mentioned, the Internet of Things is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and a lot of people are using IoT to achieve some kind of digital transformation. They're trying to achieve some kind of business outcome, and all of those connected devices come with an inherent security risk. Well, ClearPass Device Insight is going to be able to use artificial intelligence to learn, hey, what is this device? And then it's going to be able to give that information over to ClearPass to make the actionable types of decisions that we need on basically segregating and securing that traffic. A lot of devices in a place might show up as, say, generic Windows device. What if I have a set of cameras that say that? And what if I have a set of payment stations, registers or so on, that also say generic Windows device? Well, they should obviously be getting different types of control. I want to keep my payment traffic and my video traffic away from one another, right? So this is really nice because I can fingerprint that device, say this is what that device is, and then give that right over into ClearPass to be able to make the proper segmentation of our network. And speaking of segmentation, dynamic segmentation, when you put the whole stack of Aruba products together, can be a really, really nice to have. It's, I think, very important to kind of bring this up. So we can now use users and devices, and that's kind of like the dynamic part of that, right? That's all of our roles. How are we segmenting, or how are we saying what device should get what role, right? So we can use that, say, hey, this is an associate, it's going to get X rules. This is a shopper, it's going to get X rules, and then we can use information about where that's going. So hey, this is a payment system, right? It should only be going to our payment system should only be on this exact part of the network, and maybe our cameras should only be sending information directly to our recording device, right? So we want to make sure that that we take our users and devices and we make roles based on what those are, but also you can use the destination of that traffic in order to better segregate that traffic. This is the ability this is what's going to give us our ability to do things like colorless ports. Stop one person from, say, taking that payment system information or maybe something else and just moving it over a port, and now it's getting put in the wrong segment of the network, right? So dynamic segmentation is going to be a really nice and important part as we're looking at those scaled out networks, and we're looking to deploy our ClearPass and our ClearPass Device Insight, as well as Aruba switches, controllers, and access points. So this is going to be part of our, oops, looks like I accidentally pressed twice there. This is going to be part of our automated closed loop of security. And I want to bring one more product into this, and that's Introspect. Now, Introspect is another artificial intelligence that is able to learn what the normal behavior is of a device, and if it does something different, let's get that information over to ClearPass, and let's go ahead and segregate that device. Let's quarantine it. Let's make sure it's not doing what it was. So let's go back again to that HVAC example. We notice that this thing is sending information. Maybe it's command and control. It's sending it to a place that it usually wouldn't be. It's jumped outside of its segment of the network. Let's say Introspect finds that. It's going to give that information back to ClearPass. ClearPass automatically can quarantine that device, and you've stopped a potential security hazard from happening. So definitely really nice to have in any retail environment where you're having a lot of connected devices, and you want to make sure that those devices are behaving as intended. All right, so another product that we have, Meridian. This is going to be our location services. Think indoor Google Maps. And I can see this as being a really great way for any customer to basically find what they're looking for, right? This is going to solve for that ease of use, or that experience that we were talking about earlier. So imagine this scenario. Somebody knows that they want to purchase something at a store. They go into the digital app or whatever they have, and then they find the things that they're looking for to go purchase at that store. And they get there, and maybe Meridian comes up and it gives them that indoor wayfinding to find what they're looking for. And when they get over to proximity of it, maybe there's a light that flashes on one of the digital scanners nearby, showing them, hey, this is where your product is, right? Helping you get to the thing that you're looking for as quickly as possible. Maybe you have some intelligence about what that person usually purchases. Another cool thing that Meridian can do is it has a thing called a push notification, and you can use these push notifications in a lot of ways, but maybe one way is that usually when this person purchases coffee, they purchase creamer with it, and this time they didn't get any creamer or so on with their coffee. So we might send them a quick coupon or something of that nature. Hey, purchase X, creamer, and we'll give you 10% off of that purchase. And they're able to use and consume that right away. So that's a really cool way that you can use Meridian. Besides that, we can do asset tracking. Think of a store maybe that is maybe selling things that maybe an electronic or something of that nature, and we want to track those assets. Well, we have little tags that we can put on, and we could get real-time information on where that device might be, right? So Meridian really has a lot of cool and useful things that you can use it for, really in any store environment. I would definitely say that this is one of those ones, since you can take it and mix it with an application that they might already have in use, that it would be very useful for a lot of stores that are on the tail end of that digital transformation. They've already had the application that they want. They already have something that they want to use, and we can just tie that right into it. Now, it doesn't have to be at the tail end. I think that even in the beginning, if you're making some sort of plan to engage with your customers, having those indoor maps, having the ability to engage with the person and send a push notification out to them to achieve some kind of result, whatever that result might be, and then also tracking all of your inventory and so on, are very, very nice use cases for this type of product. Now, last thing I'd like to say is don't forget the SMB. SMB is definitely still a huge part of the market. Not everybody is going to be your ClearPass, your Introspect, your Device Insight, and your Meridian. You're going to have a lot of customers that just need to get Wi-Fi up and running. They just need that bare basic, and this is where that's going to be able to play. So we have a group of access points that range somewhere between the $100 and $300 mark MSRP, and they provide a lot of the features that we want, things like guest access and being able to do smart mesh in a very, very easy way to manage these through the mobile app in the cloud, as well as a whole set of SMB switches that we can use for connectivity. So definitely a really good solution, and don't forget those 100 user less environments in retail. They need to use technology too to engage with their customers, and we have that for them with our Instant Online. All right, so I just want to take a second to say that in the smart and digital store here, there's a lot of different ways that we could play, and this is just a kind of a picture here that can, show you some of the different ways. So, and we're talking about guest Wi-Fi, engaging with those customers. That's something that all of our access points are able to do. When we start talking about mobile engagement, when we start adding, say, Meridian, we're able to do our mobile ordering, see where somebody is in the store, help them navigate, have proximity offers for things that they're going by, or like I mentioned, that use case, maybe have some kind of blinking light when they get close to what they're looking for. Now, we have the in-store IoT devices. Remember, we can use our access points as a platform, connect everything, kiosks, signage, electronic price tags, all of that. We can connect all of that in store using our access points as a platform. When you start talking about your payment information systems and so on, we can use our ClearPass to segregate all those different types of traffic with our dynamic segmentation. We can secure everything and create a less headache in the process of doing that. We can assure our performance with our Assurance User Insight, or I'm sorry, our Aruba Experience Insight sensors. And we can also track assets using Meridian as well, all the way down to less than a meter, actually, if you're using Meridian. This actually, we can do asset tracking to 5 meters or 15 feet just with Wi-Fi. So we're still able to, track where things are. And then again, increasing our productivity. We have a very robust set of quality of service types of features. We have our client match and our app RF. So making sure that it's the best Wi-Fi everywhere, and that a person doesn't have to wait those 3 seconds to connect and lose interest in the thing that they were looking to purchase. So I'd say don't take just my word for it here. Quite a few different stores like Nordstrom, ASDA, Magazine, Louisa, Starbucks Coffee, Best Buy, a lot of different places here are using the Aruba solution to basically solve for some of the problems we talked about earlier. And let's talk about some of the specific things that some of these guys are doing. So Home Depot are using Wi-Fi analytics to monitor their shopper engagement. They were able to get in a number of our solutions here, including AirWave, ClearPass, using the guest features for more secure guest Wi-Fi. They're using the Aruba location and analytics engine, the ALE, and they're also using Activate to be able to do zero-touch provisioning. Now, this was a very very impressive rollout, but they rolled out 19,000 switches and 70,000 access points in about 9 months at a rate of 20 stores per night, 2,000 locations, right? So a very rapid deployment utilizing Aruba and some of our security solutions, as well as our management and our analytics solutions very quickly and getting up in the game as fast as possible. Now Nordstrom here, they also went with an Aruba solution, our full WLAN solution, again the ALE with AirWave, and then they went ahead and are using the AirWave's visibility into the network with Clarity to ensure that the network is performing as it should be. And Starbucks, I've been talking about them a lot throughout the night, but we were actually able to partner here with Google to provide some really interesting guest Wi-Fi situations, also using our access points here with Aruba Central in order to provide the best digital experience for access points that are deployed throughout Starbucks across the nation. And then here we have HEB. We're able to, they've actually been around for a long time, since 1905, but they're a large grocer in Texas, if you're not familiar with them, about 370 stores. But for them, we went with instant access points and AirWave. So another way to just quickly get everything up and running, instant access points, and then using AirWave to manage those separate clusters across all 370 locations. We're able to get centralized visibility, the application, the device, the user, the AP, as well as seeing the stored network health, utilizing that AirWave. Now with Best Buy, we were able to put in a secure multi-tenant Wi-Fi solution there. We were able to collapse the 10 to 15 SSIDs they had down to 3 to 4, and we went ahead and installed instant access points with AirWave, and then ClearPass was the way that we sort of were able to segregate that network in a way to be able to decrease the amount of SSIDs we had. Now they're also looking at putting in Meridian soon, so when you're going to Best Buy in the future, you might actually have that wayfinding to walk in and get directions to exactly what you're looking for. So that's just a short list and a really short look at all the different, or just a few vendors. But here's just a screenshot of a lot of different places, or a lot of different retail environments that are trusting Aruba and letting us be the network connectivity for their environments. And there's quite a few big names here, so you could definitely trust Aruba in any of those retail environments. So lastly, I'd like to go over our Aruba Engage and Grow. Aruba Engage and Go is for business partners and above. You have to sign up for it, and anything that you would be purchasing here, you get a certain amount of points for. So you can see on the right-hand side, it tells you how many points that you get for those. And at the end of it all, you basically can turn those points in for dollars. 1 point equals $1, and you have to sign up for it at this HPE www.hpeengagandgrow.com. Once you sign up for it there, you collect your points. When you're done, you can turn them in. You get a debit card with the balance. You can mix that on multiple debit cards or so on, but this is a good way for you to incentivize maybe some of your own employees, or just maybe collect some dollars on the back end if you've been growing your Aruba business. If you would like some more information on that, please reach out to us. This actually is going to be ending pretty soon on 10/31, so it does end relatively quickly, but definitely if you'd like some more information, or if you'd like to see anything about maybe extensions on this, please reach out to us, and we'll go ahead and answer those questions when we can. All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. So thank you, everyone here, for joining. And actually, there isn't anybody here joining because this is a re-record, but so we're not actually going to have any questions. But if you do have some questions, go ahead and link those in the comment section below. I do keep a good eye on our channel here. So if you do have a question, go ahead and just type it in, and I'll get back to you as soon as we can. So thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of the day there.